one thing, a big part of what we call entertainment in the what we call the Northwestern Hemisphere, is a sound. S-O-U-N-D. There are two types of sound in the entire universe. In the universe, there's two types of sound, according to logic. I always say follow the logic. Don't follow Neely Fuller. Don't follow any person anywhere unless that person is following logic, which means you have to pay attention to the logic of what the person is doing or saying. Otherwise, you're not really following the person anyway. You're following logic because logic came with the universe. Logic is just a way of, the best way of doing things or the worst way of doing things. That's what logic is. Now, so in the universe, if you observe it, according to evidence, there are two types of sound. Now, people get a lot of entertainment out of sound. But there are two types. There's noise and there's music. What is the difference between noise and music? Music is whatever sound you hear, that when you hear it, it inspires you to speak and act in a constructive manner. That is music. Regardless of who's making the sound or where the sound is coming from, you can be just walking through the woods and you hear something coming out of the woods. And that sound that you hear is either music or noise, because noise is just the opposite of music. Now, even a warning sound, the sound of something falling. You're walking down the street and it seems like you hear the sound of bricks coming loose in the building that you're standing by. Up above you, there's something, bricks are falling off the building. That's music, because that's a warning sound. If you jump out of the way and the bricks hit the pavement and didn't hit you, what you heard was music. That was music to your ears, because it helped you to do something constructive, like continuing to breathe and exist without, and not be dead. Now, it's the same way if you all walk into what we call a nightclub and somebody is beating on something or tooting on something, making air go through some type of instrument or something, or they are clapping their hands or stomping their feet. All you have to do to determine whether you're listening to music or noise is think about while you're listening, what you are inspired to do or say, and whether that's something that you are inspired to do or say is constructive or destructive. Now, I'm saying all of that to say there's no such thing as black people's music, white people's music, and this kind of people's music, short people's music, tall people's music. No. It's either music or it's noise. And you can instantly tell whether it is or it isn't by what you think about when you hear it. Now, if you hear some sounds that inspire you to go and get a 9mm and run up and down the street killing people, you were listening to noise, because that is non-constructive activity, and the evidence is showing it. On the other hand, if you're listening to something that sounds like the sound of the ocean, and you sit there and you listen to it, and in a little while, you think about an invention that can be used to do something constructive, a new type of pliers, or a new type of saw, or a new type of vehicle. And then you go and you design it and whatnot, and it was inspired by you having, at that particular moment, because you don't know where your thoughts come from, but sometimes you get inspired by what you're listening to do certain things, and that thing that you are inspired to do is going to be in one of two categories, just one of two, either something that's constructive or something that's non-constructive, because it's very cut and dried about music and noise. It's just two types of sound, regardless of who's making it. So you don't walk into a place and say, oh, that's noise. No, you have to find out what the person is inspired to do. Then you will determine whether it was noise or not. If the person says, well, I was listening to such and such, and then I went out and did such and such, based on what I heard. And then you can determine immediately, well, you thought you were listening to music, but what you were really listening to was noise, because you said that was your inspiration, so that's what you wound up doing.